The Mavic or the Inspire? For 10 years, I've been struggling to make films. I've tried to make stuff I believe in, but I'm always let down. Instead, I've decided to document my life and struggle to create. So the Mavic, I ordered it as it came out. Like the day was announced, I just went in and ordered it. It's been a really dream thing to have, but at the same time, there are a lot of issues that I'm having with it. The camera that I usually use is my Inspire drone with the X5R from DJI, which is a RAW capable recorder, and it creates like stunning aerials. It's a big ass camera. Like when I travel, I need a separate case just to travel with it. So it makes it kind of difficult because a lot of the stuff that I do alone. So I'm traveling, you know, carrying my stuff alone. And that kind of makes it difficult to get aerials whenever I want. So the biggest issues is usually with moire and aliasing, which is, you know, the lines and like the jagged edges and like the details that are really screwed up on the cheaper ones. So the Inspire one with the X5R, it's big. It's a big camera. But I always travel with the X5R anyways because I have the Osmo and I usually use it as a complementary or like a special effects type of camera. So I always have a gimbal with me. Those things I always shoot, you know, silent because you can't really record sound when you use the X5R because it's so noisy. That doesn't really matter though when you're up in the sky. Then that does not matter. But this one, it's a really, really nice drone. If you're starting out, this is like a dream. But if you have been shooting on, you know, Red or anything that is cinematic, this is not a good choice. I use it all the time, but I always have issues with it in post. So what you have to do is kind of add motion blur because there's so much shit that is going on in detailed things like forests or, you know, houses or anything. The dynamic range on these isn't very good. That is an issue. But I don't really care much about it because if you expose right, you can actually get away with a lot of stuff. It doesn't have any low light capability though. There it's, you know, it's dead. But for the most part, I think this would be an amazing drone if it didn't have the aliasing and the moire issues, because that makes it look really bad. And what you have to have is these ND filters that you put on. This is from Polar Pro. It's like a small clip-on filter. That isn't, you know, the best way of doing it because that usually raises like optical issues too. But never shoot with this one on because then you're gonna get also issues. I've shot with it sometimes when it's raining because you're not supposed to fly it in rain, but otherwise I would never put it on. But like the technology in this one, when it comes to the app and the software and the sensors and everything is amazing. And the stability of a small drone like this is amazing. I really love traveling with it. I wouldn't leave anywhere without it if I didn't have the Inspire. But because I have the Inspire, I always feel let down when I come to the edit. And I have to do so much to kind of compensate for the bad quality. You have to hide that it is as bad quality as it is.
I hear the bells. Are you ready to cast spells on our relations?
Drones and that sort of thing, I think that you shouldn't use them, you know, all the time. And you should be really wise about like how to use them. Sometimes I just use them as tripods high up. Sometimes I use them because I don't want to climb this freaking mountain. Why would I want to climb this freaking mountain today? And then I just, you know, throw it up in the air and it goes up and then, you know, comes down with images and I didn't even have to move. That's kind of nice, right? But that doesn't happen all the time. It did happen on a job recently though, when I went up to the north of Sweden and I saw this, you know, this river that was flowing and I just pictured this image going up above it and tracking it, and it was far away. But that little birdie just flew over there and got that image and got back to me. So it's kind of nice to have. Most of the stuff that you see in the vlog is the Mavic, because I don't use the Inspire, you know, on a daily basis. How the fuck would you be able to travel with that thing all over the place? It's just not possible. But like some people have commented, it doesn't look as good. So the Inspire then. Why is it better? Well, let me show you. So this is the X5R. It has these memory cards, which are SSDs, 512 gigabytes. And then you have this gimbal camera, which is really, really nice. I've actually broken 3 of these. I've crashed the Inspire drone with this 2 times. First time wasn't my fault. It was definitely DJI's fault. I think that they should have compensated me for it, but they did not. It just went off. It was returning to home and it went the opposite way. I know so many of you have done the exact same thing, so screw you, DJI. That is not a way of doing business. But anyway, I got it fixed. And then I broke it pretty much on the same day as I got it back. I crashed it into the ground and, you know, these break most of the time. Another time I was picking mushrooms in the forest, but then I just dropped it and this broke again. So it's kind of fragile. But it's also the one that I always bring with me because I have the Osmo. So when you have the Osmo, you put it on top of the Osmo, it gets stabilized and you just go around and you have a selfie stick that is very expensive. And then you also have a selfie stick that creates video that takes forever to get into the computer. But it looks really, really pretty. So is it worth it? Is it worth the money? Not really. If you do commercials, it is. But otherwise, I would probably not have gotten it. It's too expensive. It's too fragile. It wasn't expensive to fix though. Since I've done it so many times, it cost about the same. But when you use the regular camera on the Inspire, it's a decent camera. Like it's not as terrible as the Mavic. You can get away with those images much better, I think. But the biggest issue is that it's really compressed. You do not have any dynamic range. You don't have any, you know, alternative of changing the lenses and those types of things. In this one you have. In this one you shoot RAW, which I've talked about before, is pretty much the only way that I would shoot if it wasn't for space. So it looks so damn good. There's so much dynamic range to pull out of there. It looks so much more filmic. There's no reason not to have it if you have it. But it also takes forever to convert and that sort of thing. But, you know, it's been a process forever to convert things before you edit and that sort of thing. So I just use that way of working. I don't, you know, expect to be able to edit the second that I take the footage to my computer. So which one would I pick? I pick both. I have both. But would I pick a Mavic over the Inspire? Maybe. Depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing commercials and feature films, probably go with the Inspire and the X5R. But if you're doing things where you can't really carry the drone and that sort of thing, then go with the Mavic. The Mavic does a decent job, but there's always issues with, like, okay, so you need an ND filter to get the shutter down, and you need to get, you know, all these issues with the aliasing and stuff that you have to do in post. You have to blur things and put motion blur in the whole material to kind of even it out. And then there's the issue of dynamic range, which is, you know, okay, but still not good enough if you're trying to grade things. Are you using drones like the Mavic? Are you satisfied with it? What issues are you having with it? Let me know. Like, I'm really disappointed with the images, but I'm also super happy that I have aerials every time. So it's mixed feelings. If you want more about the Mavic, check out Mumbo Vlogs. He's done a couple of videos on it.